Hello, and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Starting to get games into February now, and they are beginning to come thick and fast over the next few weeks. Two lots of midweek fixtures to look at. Some of the sides getting down to just 3 or 4 games to go this time next month. So plenty to keep your eye on as we head towards the back end of this season. Every Thursday, 6 p.m, I'll be bringing you up to date. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes, and you can keep right up to date with everything going on with your favourite team out to the 71 in the FAWNL. Big results this weekend. We had some cup games, some league games as well. 3 tables have changed their league leaders. We'll get onto those shortly, but we're going to start, as we always do, with the Northern Premier Division, where 3 games were played. Brighouse Town 1, Stoke City 0. Important victory there for Brighouse Town. Lucy Sowerby popping up yet again with another goal for Brighouse Town. Win for Nottingham Forest, yet again a 4-2 victory over Liverpool Feds. Forest had gone 3-0 up in this game. Charlotte Greengrass in the 25th minute, Sophie Domingo in the 34th, and Charlotte Steggles in the 55th minute. Liverpool Feds then got one back. Katie Thomas just 3 minutes later made it 3-1. Domingo got her second of the game to make it 4-1 for Forest just 4 minutes from time. And then in the 89th minute, Bethany Donoghue got it back to 4-2. But Forest were able to see out the game, get the important 3 points. And Burnley, who were held for a long time by Loughborough Lightning, and despite Loughborough going down to 10 with still 40 minutes to go, Burnley needed a 94th minute winner in order to get the 3 points from this one. Loughborough's goal coming from the penalty spot. Georgia Stevens with the goal for that one. And then Ellie York in the 64th minute for Burnley. Emma Taylor, the 94th minute, getting the winner and keeps Burnley in touch with the top 2 in the Northern Premier Division. If we have a look at the table, I'll see that Nottingham Forest now 6 points clear of Wolverhampton Wanderers at the top of the table. Wolves have got a game in hand. Burnley with that victory, of course. Wolves not playing. They were in the League Cup quarter-final. Burnley are now level on points with Wolves and only below them on goal difference, 19-15 on that one. So Burnley, as I said, that late goal against Loughborough Lightning really keeping them in touch with the top 2. Derby, they drop a place down to 4th. They're on 23 points. You sense that because Forest have got that game in hand on Derby, it is now a race between the top 3. Huddersfield remain in 5th. Brighouse with that win up 3 places. They're now 5 clear of the relegation zone. AFC Fylde, Stoke City, Liverpool Feds all drop a place. Bolmir St Michael stays safe by a single point. West Bromwich Albion are in the bottom 2 still. Loughborough Lightning, after that late goal that defeated them, remain bottom of the table, 8 points away from safety. They now just have 9 games to go in order to try and get those points. Let's go through to the Southern Premier Division then. A full programme in the south, all 12 teams in action. Bridgewater United 1, Crawley Wasps 1 will start with. No lineup yet announced from Crawley. I'm having to record this a day earlier than usual, so the deadline for getting all the information on full time hasn't yet passed. Ellie Sara 5 minutes from time with the goal for Bridgewater United. Cheltenham Town with a great 2-1 victory over Oxford United. They took the lead just 10 minutes in. Izzy Newens with the opening goal. They were 2-0 up just before half-time. 45+1 Laura Holden, and left Oxford with a bit of a hill to climb. They got one back, Aisha Swaby, in the 64th minute. Weren't able to get an equaliser, and Cheltenham with a great 3 points against the then league leaders. London Bees 1, Plymouth Argyle 2. Really important result for Plymouth this, towards the bottom of the table. They went 1-0 up at half-time. Georgia Wilson on the half-hour mark able to put them in front at the break. 21 minutes from time, Joanna Beaufort got one back for London Bees. Looked for all the world as though it was going to finish 1-1, but Amber Pollock, the substitute, in the last minute of the 90, they were to put Plymouth back in front with a 2-1 victory. The place to see goals this weekend, though, was MK Dons, a 6-3 victory over Billericay Town at Stadium MK. Braces for Laura Mitchell and Molly Cooper, Trisha Hannah Gould and Gemma Biggerdike also getting goals for Milton Keynes Dons. Billericay Town had gone down to 10 in this game as well, made it more difficult for them. Ruby Seeley and a brace for Jessica King with 3 goals for them. 3 goals, of course, often is all you need really to get a victory more often than not, but not on this occasion. MK Dons scoring 6. Watford 1, Ipswich Town 1, another late goal here. Ipswich scoring in the first half, Lucy O'Brien. But Watford in the final minute of the 90 with Poppy Wilson getting an equaliser, getting a draw from the game. But all that eventually just meant that Portsmouth, with their 1-0 victory over Gillingham in the later kickoff, Anisha Harney 6 minutes into the game, put them 1-0 in front. They were able to hold on to that lead, and with the teams around them drawing and Oxford losing, it means that it's changed at the top. Portsmouth going 1 point clear at the top of the Southern Premier Division table. They replace Oxford for the first time in quite a while, although they have played a game more. It's worth mentioning that. Ipswich Town are 5 points behind. They also have a game in hand, so that could go down to 2. It is quite tight at the top. Don't discard Watford either. They are 8 points away from the top of the table, but they have 3 games in hand, so they could get themselves up towards the top as well. Really tight at the top of the Southern Premier Division table. Billericay Town, Cheltenham Town, the 2 newly promoted sides going well. They are closer to the top of the table than they are the relegation zone, so great for both of those. MK Dons are up 3 places because, of course, it is so tight towards the bottom as well. Here's a very top half, bottom half split in the Southern Premier Division. 3 teams on 13 points. MK Dons, Bridgewater United, London Bees. London Bees down a couple of places after that loss. Gillingham down a spot as well after losing to Portsmouth. That victory for Plymouth Argyle, they're now just 2 points away from safety at their midway point in the season. We're into February and some teams haven't reached the midway point yet. Look at MK Dons, they've got a long way to go. So Plymouth Argyle 2 points away from safety. Crawley Wasps still at the bottom. They're now 7 away from safety. 9 games to go. Division 1 North, 4 games to talk about. Barnsley with a 1-0 victory over Merseyrail. 0-0 at half-time in this game. Natalie Shaw with the only goal of it, but there's no time on that. Newcastle United getting past Chorley by 3 goals to 1. Georgia Gibson, Charlotte Potts, Lauren Robson with the goals for Newcastle United. Chorley, their only goal of the game came 35 minutes in. Sophie Rotherham with the goal there, but Newcastle United get the 3 points. Durham remains strong at the top, although it took them almost 70 minutes to break through Bradford City at home. Jennifer Knowles in the 68th, Faye Dale in the 90th minute with those 2 goals for Durham keep them going strong at the top. Bradford looking through the scores as they were coming in and looking like, oh, are Bradford going to potentially get something from the league leaders, but it proved not to be the case. And York City 4, Middlesbrough 1. Nicola Brown in the 6th minute, Alice Hughes in the 34th, Abby Parkin in the 53rd, Felicity Jones in the 57th, giving York City a 4-1 victory. Armani Maxwell, the only goal of the game for Middlesbrough. Again, what it means for the table, not much at the top. Durham Sestra remains 7 points clear, but Newcastle United have those 2 games in hand, so they could bring that back down to 1 point. That's going to be really crucial. You feel it could almost go down to the game between those 2 sides. That game, though, we have to wait until the middle of March for it. Barnsley are up a place. They're above Stockport County. Barnsley have 3 games in hand on Durham Sestra as well, so that could put them on 31 points. So don't necessarily count out Barnsley yet either, because if they can get a victory in all 3 of their games in hand, they will then be right in touch as well, particularly when they've got to play those sides again as well. Stockport County down to 4th. Middlesbrough and Hull City, they remain where they are. York City up a place over Leeds after that victory over Middlesbrough. They're now 10 points clear of the relegation zone. So York City looking good for another year in Division 1 North. Leeds United, of course, drop a place, but they've got lots of games to play. Norton Stockton Ancients, Chorley remain where they are. They are 4 points, or Chorley are 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Merseyrail, the side that they are trying to stay away from. Merseyrail only have 8 games left to go. Bradford City not out of touch either yet, with only 5 point gap as well. It could be, could come down to a mini league for those teams at the bottom as they play each other second time around. Division 1 Midlands then, Doncaster Rovers Bells, Long Eaton United, Doncaster Rovers Bells 6, Long Eaton United 1. It's Doncaster Rovers Bells with a convincing victory here. A brace for Sophie Scargill, a brace for Molly Barlow, Riley Johnson and Shannon Durkin with goals for Doncaster. Long Eaton United with just the 1 goal in the game, and there is no information about that goal. It's Doncaster Rovers with the convincing win. Leaford Athletic 3, Wemtown 2. Not much to report on this game so far. I guess there were penalties in here somewhere. 2 opposition own goals from Wemtown. That must hurt them. Catherine Pagan with Leaford Athletic's goal on the half-hour mark. Wemtown, Kimberly Bebbington and Charlotte Budd with the goals, but 2 own goals means that it's Leaford Athletic that win by 3 goals to 2. Northampton Town, a 2-0 victory over Sheffield. A brace for Jade Bell, 1 in each half, 35th and 79th minute. Made it 2-0 to Northampton. Sporting Council 5, Lincoln City 1. A hat-trick for Stephanie Weston, 15th, 45 plus 4 and 80th minute. Sky Owen in the 60th minute and Olivia Woolston in the 67th minute. Convincing victory for Sporting Cowser, despite the fact that Lincoln went 1-0 up in that game. Lucy Farrow in the 12th minute had put them ahead before Sporting Cowser started to bang in the goals. And Leek Town 1, Solihull Moors 1. Another result that works well for Stourbridge at the top with them not playing. Chantal Gallagher, 52nd minute, the goal for Leek Town. Goal in the second half, Rebecca Knight for Solihull Moors. Yeah, Stourbridge not playing because Peterborough were in County Cup action. What it means for the table, Solihull Moors have now played a game more than Stourbridge and are still 5 points back. Stourbridge, of course, remain at the top. They've only played 1 league game since the middle of October. They've been 1 league game in 4 months now, so they'll be desperate to get back into the league action this weekend. Sporting Cowser and Leaford Athletic both up a place after their victory. They are now one of 4 teams on 22 points trying to chase down Stourbridge, but as you can see from the table there, it ranges from Doncaster Rovers Bells having played 10 to Leaford Athletic having played 14, so that will spread itself out. Lincoln City on 19 points, but they've played 15 games. They're down a couple of places. They've only got 7 games left to play. And looking at the board behind me, this time next month, Lincoln will be down to their final 3 games, so they could well be out of it by then. Given the start they had, I think they'll be pleased just to stay in the division. Northampton Town and Leek Town have swapped a place, and they are now 5 points and 4 points respectively away from the relegation zone, which is held by Sheffield. But Sheffield do have plenty of games in hand. Long Eaton United still at the bottom, 7 points away from safety now, and they have 9 games left to try and make up those spots. Division 1 South East, then just 2 leagues left to look at. We'll start with Actonians against AFC Wimbledon, 2 of the sides near the top of the table. It's Wimbledon that come away with the 2-1 victory in this one. Ellen Dorey in the 24th minute, Mila De Santos for Actonians in the 26th minute, and then a penalty to Ashley Hinks in the second half gives Wimbledon the 2-1 victory. Cambridge City, they were close to getting something against London Seaward, but London Seaward in the end, after benefiting from an own goal, could come out 1-0 winners against Cambridge City. Cambridge United don't really fare any better against #United. They fall by 5 goals to 1, although it was 1-1 at half-time. Isabella Simmons with Cambridge United's goal, Samantha Rowland in the 29th minute, equalising for #United. 1-1 at half-time, but then hashtag just turned on the style. 53rd minute, Kelly Wellfall. 56th minute, Roland again. 62nd minute, Emma Samways. And 66th minute, Sasha Adamson's 4 goals for hashtag United in the space of 13 minutes. Really just sank any hope of Cambridge United. Another good victory for Ashford Town, 3-0 away at Chesham United, who had Holly Held sent off in that game. Alyssa Down, 7th minute, Lavanna Newfell, 20th minute, and Hannah Duncan, 72nd minute for Ashford Town, who are really adapting well to life in Tier 4 after promotion last season, looking strong in the second half of this season. Norwich City 4, Queen's Park Rangers 3, 7-goal thriller there in Norwich. I haven't got any information about Queen's Park Rangers scorers, sadly, but a hat-trick for Natasha Snelling and one for Freya Simmons gave Norwich City the 3 points. The table, and it's worked well for hashtag United because Wimbledon and Actonians played each other. Hashtag United now 8 points clear at the top. Wimbledon and Norwich City upper place, Actonians down 2. That's the only movement in Division 1 South East. Wimbledon have a game in hand over hashtag United, but that goal difference of 59 for hashtag is like an extra point. So Wimbledon is second on 20, Norwich City also on 20, but they've played a game more. Actonians dropped to 4th there on 19. Ashford Town in 5th also on 19, just 1 point away from second spot in Division 1 South East. Ashford Town, London Seaward, Cambridge United, Queen's Park Rangers, Chesham United, Cambridge City all stay where they are. Hounslow finally did, at the 4th time of trying, get their County Cup game played against Charlton Athletic under-21s. They lost 12-0. They're now out of the County Cup. It's actually Ashford Town that faced Charlton Athletic under-21s in the next round. They're still at the bottom, yet to get a point this season. They've still got 13 games to play of this season, and they are still only 1 win away from safety, but with that goal difference, they will need at least 4 points. Finally, Division 1 South West, also a change at the top. AFC Bournemouth 1, Swindon Town 1 here. So Bournemouth only managing to get a draw. Goal Katie James in the 70th minute, putting Bournemouth in front. Swindon Town taking less than 10 minutes to equalise. Annabelle Colston in the 78th minute, getting it back for them. They finished 1-1, weren't able to capitalise on Exeter and Cardiff both playing each other and not being both able to win. But Exeter City are the ones who take the 3 points away from Cardiff and put themselves at the top of the table. We'll get onto that in a moment. Emily Toogood, 41st minute. Ishbel Zermond in the 90th minute, giving Exeter the 2-0 victory. Cardiff had Terry Jo Guavan sent off 10 minutes from time, but Cardiff City, after spending so long at the top of the table, have been displaced by Exeter. Moneyfields, 8-1 winners over Portishead Town. Very convincing victory for Moneyfields. A brace for Beth Burgess, 1 for Peyton Howard. Carolina Taylor get 2 as well. Gemma Simmons with 1. Kimberly Whitcomb with 1. Charlie Wilson Wilton with 1. Is that all 8? Yes, that is all 8. Portishead Town getting 1 4 minutes from time. Ellie Stripple, consolation goal. Moneyfields with a strong victory, 8 goals to 1. Chelsea 1, Maidenhead United 2. Maidenhead United, Imogen Fisher in the 15th minute had put them in front. Then in the 58th minute, from the penalty spot, Natalie Cowell made it 2-0. Sky Bacon, 11 minutes from time, getting one back for Chelsea, but they weren't able to get the equaliser. They end up with no points from the game. And Southampton women beating AFC St Austell by 5 goals to 2. Jasmine Allen and Lucy Soloway with the goals for AFC St Austell, who, again, similarly to other teams, were managing to hold with Southampton for so long. But Shannon Sivright in the 32nd minute, Shannon Albury in the 57th minute. It was quite tight up at the hour mark. But then Sean Wiley, 69th minute, 78th minute. Jasmine Nasser, 80th minute. 3 goals in 11 minutes for Southampton women just mean that St Austell just can't stay with them and get anything from the game. What it means for the table, as I said, Exeter City up at the top now. 10 games to go. They're a point clear of Cardiff. Bournemouth remain in 3rd, but they've played 2 games more. Moneyfields have played 3 games less than Bournemouth. Expect them to get into 3rd, but I still feel they're a little bit too far back. If they win their game in hand, they're 5 points back from Exeter, so it's certainly not out of the question. Maybe they will make a late charge, particularly when they've got to play those sides in the second half of the season. Southampton women's are up 2. Swindon stay where they are. Chelsea are down 2. That's a complete switch around from what happened last week. It's all the same down towards the bottom. 2 for Portishead, Maidenhead United still on 9. They're 3 points clear of Larkhall Athletic, who are on 6, and AFC St Austell still bottom of the table and on 3 points. That'll do it for the league fixtures. League results from the last 7 days. Let's now have a look at the cup results from the quarterfinals of the cup and the plate competitions. And that's because we finally got the last 8 completed, down to 4 teams in each competition. Wolves against Huddersfield, an all-Northern Premier Division tie. And it needed extra time, did this one. Wolves, despite going 2-0 in front, Destiny Toussaint in the 33rd minute and Jade Cross in the 35th minute, they had gone 2-0 up in this game. But Huddersfield, they fought their way back into the game. An own goal in the 62nd minute was the equaliser after Bethany Ibbotson in the 48th minute had brought them back to within 1. It needed extra time. Destiny Toussaint again, 12 minutes into the half hour of extra time, put Wolves in front. They were able to hold on and book themselves a semi-final spot against Watford in the League Cup. But you wonder how much has that extra half an hour potentially and that battling cup fixture taken away from Wolves ahead of what is a very important league fixture this weekend. We'll get onto that in a moment. Then a bit of a shock in the plate. AFC Fylde 0, Leeds United 2. Tier 4 Leeds beating Northern Premier Division AFC Fylde. Goals in this one, Catherine Smith in the 50th minute and Abby Brown in the 52nd minute. So it's Leeds that now face Southampton. Now, interestingly, because of the plate semi-final date being scheduled for County Cup Day, neither of the plate semi-finals are being played on plate semi-final day. They're all being played the week after because the teams are involved in County Cup. So not the greatest bit of planning, but I can see entirely why the league were hoping that maybe 1 or 2 of the teams that were in the plate weren't going to be in their County Cup and they could get them played. But alas, it hasn't proven to be the case. So those are the results from the past 7 days. Let's now have a look at the fixtures coming up. And you'll see why I spoke about Wolves as extra half an hour. Because I know obviously the screen breaks. I still haven't got another clip from my green screen over here. So even though I'm recording this on Wednesday, this of course is coming out on Thursday. So tonight, if you're watching this as it comes out or listening to this as it comes out, Huddersfield Town against Brighouse Town in the Northern Premier Division. That's 5th against 6th. Both teams kind of mid-table. Huddersfield, they were for a time looking as though they may be able to hold on to the teams towards the top of the table, but they're now 14 points back. So even if they win their games in hand, one of which is tonight, they're just still going to be 8 points back, and I can't see the other teams dropping that many points in the back half of the season. AFC Fylde against Derby County at the weekend, that's 7th against 4th. Brighouse Town against Boldmere St Michael's, that is 6th against 10th. So some important mid-table fixtures going on, particularly those teams that are trying to give themselves a bit of distance between themselves and the bottom 2. Burnley against Loughborough Lightning, 3rd against 12th there. Now, of course, the reverse fixture that only happened last week, Loughborough held on for a long, long time. We'll see what happens this time around. Stoke City against Liverpool Feds, 8th against 9th. Again, an important one where they're both trying to get away. West Bromwich Albion in the relegation zone at the moment in 11th. Take on Huddersfield Town, who at the moment are in 5th and will be in 5th unless there's a big victory for Brighouse Town of 3 goals or more tonight. So that's 11th against 5th. Then the important game at the top. Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting Nottingham Forest in what could well be, in my opinion, a game that decides the league title. And the reason I say that is, for me, and for anyone who wants a more in-depth discussion on this game particularly, I'm on the Wolves Women podcast tonight, talking from both a Forest point of view and a neutral point of view about this game coming up. But for me, I think that this game could decide the league. This is a must-not-lose game for Wolves. So at the moment, Forest 6 points clear of Wolves, but Forest have played a game more. If Forest can beat Wolves on Sunday, I'm on the Wolves Women podcast tonight, which will be out by the time this comes out. If Forest beat Wolves on Sunday and they go 9 points clear and Wolves only have one game in hand, even if they win that game in hand and Forest are still 6 points clear, I can't see Forest dropping, particularly with that extra goal difference as well, which is 17 at the moment and will be even more if they beat Wolves. You're talking at least probably 20. I can't see Forest dropping 6 points and then the goal difference as well. So you've got to drop them for better phrase, 7 points. Now, given that Forest have only dropped 5 all season, 3 of which were to Wolves, the other 2 were as a draw to Burnley. If Forest win on Sunday, I can't see Wolves catching them. Now, if Wolves win on Sunday, and it's a 3-point gap and Wolves have a game in hand, then it's game on. But they're still going to need Forest to slip up because of that goal difference. The pressure will still be on Wolves to not only kind of win every game all the way in, so to speak, but also to win well in those games to try and overturn that goal difference. So it is a very, very important game. I think a draw is not the end of the world, but a draw suits Forest more than Wolves. It's almost a must-win game for Wolves, but it's definitely a must-not-lose for Wolves. So it'll be really interesting next week to see what happens in that game, see what the Northern Premier Division table looks like. Southern Premier Division, we have a full programme as well. Billericay Town against Oxford United. Now, Billericay Town, so we're on the wrong end of that 6-3 defeat to MK Dons last weekend. Oxford United also lost as well. But Billericay Town, only 8 points behind Oxford. Yes, they've played a game more, but they will be eyeing kind of a top 3, maybe top 4 finish. So don't discount Billericay Town. Oxford United, of course, need to keep the pressure on Portsmouth. They have a game in hand. They need to stay in touch. Bridgewater United against Ipswich. That's 8th against 3rd. Cheltenham Town against Watford is 6th against 4th. Cheltenham Town, of course, have ambitions of their own of being up in that top 3 or 4 spot. Crawley Wasps against Plymouth Argyle. The two sides in the relegation zone take on each other. If Plymouth Argyle were to win this game, it would be at least an 8-point gap for Crawley to make up in only 8 games after this, and they haven't won all season. So it's a very important game for Crawley Wasps to try and get something from. Plymouth, of course, buoyed by that victory last weekend, and particularly with Gillingham taking on MK Dons. That's a 7th against 10th tie, by the way. If Gillingham lose that, then Plymouth Argyle could get themselves out of the bottom 2, and that's huge motivation for them. The one other game, London Bees down in 9th for hosting Portsmouth. Portsmouth, of course, in a good run of form. They will be looking now to go and keep the pressure on Oxford because, yes, they're 1 point in front, but Oxford have the game in hand. Only by keeping on winning and forcing Oxford to match them every single game will Portsmouth, hopefully, from their point of view, be able to challenge for promotion up to the Championship. Division 1 North, there is 1 game missing, so 5 games taking place in Division 1 North. Barnsley take on Chorley, that's a 3rd versus 10th game, and Hull City face Middlesbrough, that's 6th against 5th. Now, interestingly, Hull have got 3 games in hand on Middlesbrough, and they are... they're not out of the contention to get into that kind of top 4. They're 4 points behind Stockport. They've got 2 games in hand. So, Hull City could still find themselves climbing up that table. Leeds United against Merseyrail. Leeds are down in 8th, but of course had that cup game last weekend. They've only played 9 games. Now, they've got 5 in hand on some teams. Let's just say, for example, that they win all 5 of those games in hand. That puts them on 31 points and they're into 2nd. Even if they win 3 out of the 5, 9 points, 25, and that puts them in 3rd. So don't look at Leeds' league table position of being in 8th as a reflection, really, of the way that Leeds are playing. Because, as I said, they have played so few games that their league table position really isn't kind of representative of the way they've been playing. Even if you take into account they've only got 2 games in hand over Barnsley. They're only 6 points behind Barnsley, who are in third, and their goal difference is only 1 lower. So if they win both of the games in hand over Barnsley, they still go third. So it could be a difficult one for Merseyrail, that. Newcastle United against York City. Newcastle, of course, desperate to keep the pressure on Durham. This is one of Newcastle's games in hand over Durham. They need to win this. If they don't win this, it's going to be a very, very long way back for Newcastle to catch up to Durham. It's a 7-point gap as it stands. If it goes to 7 points with only 1 game in hand, it's a lot more difficult. So York City, of course, had a good victory. They're now 10 points clear of the relegation zone. They need to keep picking up points where they can, affirm that mid-table finish for this season, then see if they can kick on next year. And Stockport County against Norton Stockton Ancients is 4th against 9th. So Bradford City will be bottom of the table whatever happens, because they're not playing this weekend. Merseyrail will still be in the relegation zone even if they get a victory. Chorley against Barnsley, as we said, if Chorley win, it could be a 7-point gap. It's more likely, though, I would have thought, to remain at the 4 points it is for, 5 points for Bradford City. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. Division 1 Midlands then, and Stourbridge finally back in action after so long away. But we'll start at the top of that screen there. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Leafield Athletic. That's 3rd against 5th. Both sides on 22 points, but Doncaster Rovers Bells with 4 in hand over Leafield. Long Eaton United, bottom of the table against Northampton Town in 8th. Northampton Town 5 points clear of the relegation zone. They'll be looking to kick on. They had that good victory over Sheffield last weekend. They'll be looking to put even more distance between themselves and the bottom 2. Long Eaton United, 7 points the gap at the moment. And it, will be if they lose more than that, because of Wemtown taking on Sheffield. One of them is guaranteed to get some points. Peterborough United against Sporting Cowser, 7th against 4th, kind of a mid-table game there. Stourbridge against Solihull Moors, the top 2 battle it out, and very much like the Forest and Wolves in the Northern Premier Division there. Solihull Moors with a win in that game, closing it up to 2 points, even though Stourbridge have got a game in hand. That really closes the gap up. If Stourbridge win and it goes to 8 points and Stourbridge have a game in hand, it's a big ask for them to drop that many points in the second half of the season. But has the fact that they've not been playing league games kind of hampered Stourbridge a bit? We'll have to see on that one. Same with Doncaster Rovers Bells as well. They've got the same number of points as Solihull Moors. They've played the same number of games as Stourbridge. It's going to be when Stourbridge and Doncaster Rovers Bells face each other that's going to be key. But you look at that Stourbridge Solihull Moors game and you think, okay, Solihull Moors win, yeah, great, they're still in with it. Stourbridge beat Solihull Moors, and you wonder, with an 8-point gap and a game in hand, if that's just going to prove to be a little bit too much for Solihull. And then towards the bottom, Wemtown against Sheffield. I alluded to it a couple of moments ago. One of them's guaranteed to get points. They might both get a point, but it means that the gap, Wemtown, could get to 11 or could get to 13. But if Sheffield get the victory, then Wemtown drop into the bottom 2, but then the gap goes to 12. So it's going to at least go to 11, could be 12 for Long Eaton United, which is an 8 or 9 point gap. And with Long Eaton United only having 8 games at the end of this weekend, if of course they don't get anything from the Northampton Town game, again, it's looking like a big mountain for them to climb. Division 1 South East, then just 2 leagues left to go. The Division 1 South East, AFC Wimbledon against Hounslow. Difficult to look past anything other than a Wimbledon victory in that one. Hounslow, of course, yet to get a point this season. Ashford Town against London Seawood, 5th against 6th. Both teams on 19 points. Ashford Town with a much better goal difference, but London Seawood with games in hand. Norwich City against #United. You wonder if this is the sort of game that might put Norwich City's title challenge to bed. If #United can get the victory, go 11 points clear, then that's a very tough hill for Norwich City to climb. If Norwich City get the win, it goes down to 5 points. And they're only halfway through the season. A lot could still happen. And Queen's Park Rangers against Cambridge City, 8th against 10th. Cambridge City still desperate for even just 1 point that gives themselves that extra cushion against Hounslow. Can they get it against Queen's Park Rangers? We'll have to wait and see. And then finally, a full programme in Division 1 Southwest. AFC Bournemouth against Portishead Town. Bournemouth trying to keep in touch with the top two. Portishead Town desperate, trying to forget that 8-1 defeat to Moneyfields. Cardiff City take on AFC Austell. You'd think they'd win that. Keynsham Town against Southampton Women's is 8 against 5th. Both teams kind of in the mid-table. Keynsham Town could do with maybe a point or so just to try and edge that gap. It's 6 points at the moment to the bottom two. If they can make it 7 or 9, that would do them a world of good. Larkhall Athletic against Maidenhead United. Huge game down towards the bottom. Larkhall in 11th in the relegation zone. Maidenhead United in 10th. Only the 3 points, but 1 goal separates them. A win for Larkhall Athletic would lift them out of the bottom two. So it's a huge game down towards the bottom. Moneyfields against Swindon Town. That's 4th against 6th. Moneyfields, of course, with their own desires to push on towards the top of the table. They feel this is the kind of game they have to win if they're going to do that. And finally, Chelsea against Exeter City. The new league leaders travel to 7th placed Chelsea. Again, you feel like they're going to have to win, because with Cardiff fairly certain probably going to win against AFC St Austell, Exeter City will want to remain at the top for more than 1 week. And that will just about do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, as we get further on in these weeks, you can see the league starting to develop. We're going to get teams that are dropping out of title contention and teams that are, it's going to be very difficult for them to avoid the drop. Of course, give it a kind of another month or so when teams have got 5 games to go. As I did last season, we will start to look at the run-ins for each of those teams. Where are they going to be able to pick up points? I'm really going into detail in the league tables, which is much more interesting and is able to where I'm about to bring you a bit more information than just reading out the results and the fixtures. Hopefully we'll get a few interviews towards the end of the season as well, particularly when we get to cup finals and, of course, that playoff game in May. But for now, thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's Women's Football Chat. Of course, if you want to hear more from me, then head over to the Wolves Women podcast where we preview that big game between Forest and Wolves this weekend. But thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's Women's Football Chat. Keep supporting your local women's team. Goodbye.